Getting what you think you want will not change you at your core. A lot of times we think we want something because we think it'll change us. Or we think we want something because really there is an unmet need in us. It's just looking for awareness and recognition. And when we offer that awareness, that part of us is seen, it becomes a lot quieter. And the desire for something outside of us goes away. And when we do this continuously, life just becomes lighter, easier. We're in a natural state of happiness because we know there's nothing we've done wrong. There's nothing we need to do in order to be good. Healing is something that I think a lot of people might be hyper-focused on these days. There are two kind of themes that play out, or that are playing out right now, which are the achievement, obtainment, growing theme, or the feel everything, heal everything, regulate constantly, be the most evolved version of yourself theme. And they're both presenting this same falsity, which is that there is something you need to become in order to live a full life. And that's not to say that we can't work on ourselves, or that we can't want certain things or strive for things that are healthy, that are good for us, that are good for us and other people. Because those things, the good things, service-oriented things, are fulfilling. They add joy. But other things, even if they are cloaked in pure intention, can sometimes cloud our vision and take us out of the present. When I was younger, I didn't have a lot of friends, and I still don't. And I felt this desire for recognition so often that I began to think I wanted to be famous. And this is something that happens to a lot of young people, because we see influencers now and celebrities, and it's like, it would feel so good if people paid So it's just that need to belong, that need to be recognized by people in our actual tangible life that is driving that desire. And if we got that desire, would it really feel as good as the people in our real tangible life seeing and accepting us? Probably not. But there's always the issue of, well, what if that need can't be met externally? What if, for whatever reason, people in my life don't see me fully, don't recognize me, don't understand the way I think? What if I don't belong? And the truth is, no one can fully understand you because you are always changing. You can't fully understand yourself because you're always changing, but you can offer love to that part of yourself. You can offer that understanding. And when you do this, there's a release because you recognize finally that you never needed other people to see you. For some people that might not make sense, or it might not feel right, and that's okay. Everyone is on a different path and learning different things at different times. But that's what I've found in my experience, and it's been really freeing. And now I can say with certainty there's very little that I want in my day-to-day experience. And even when I think about the future, there's not much that, if I were to have a list, it would be maybe my own space to live in, connection, string lights, access to good food and good company, and the freedom of time to be creative and being able to spend the rest of my time engaging with people, some type of healing modality. And I would be really happy. And when we're at peace like that, everything else becomes really rich, because we realize that every hardship we've been through is just bringing us back to that truth. That love, when love is at the center of what we do, it's the only important thing, and it's the only thing that doesn't change. The way we express it might change. The way we feel it might change. But the love itself does not change. When I was really first getting into meditation and mindfulness of breathing and action, I was just kind of returning to school, to college last year, and for that first week, when I didn't really have that much responsibility, everything I did, and when I say everything, I mean everything, laying out a yoga mat, doing my laundry, washing out a bowl in the sink, everything I did became, it's so clear in my head. It's been a year and I can still remember washing out this bowl in the sink and watching the water and holding the bowl and seeing it's empty. There's water in it, now it's empty. Just like that. Our life is comprised of moments like that. And a lot of the time we're on autopilot and we forget how rare this experience is and what a privilege it is to be able to have it. I'm saying all of this from a zoomed out perspective because sometimes when we're very zoomed in, it's really difficult to bear the weight of our emotions and other people's emotions and what's going on in the world on a global scale. But I think what's really helped me is recognizing that what's playing out in the world is really just a reminder of the importance of love, of cultivating a conscious connection to our heart and desire, even what we perceive to be selfless desire, can cloud our vision. And so many people get caught up in this idea of it's just me, it's me against the world. I have to protect myself. I have to make sure I get what I want. I have to make sure that everything goes right for me. And when we buy into those thoughts, it becomes extremely hard to see how interconnected we are, how much we actually depend on one another, and how much beauty can be found in that. When I went back to school after last summer, which is when I started my meditation and started getting into mindfulness and spirituality began unfolding in my life. When I went back to school, I was thrust back into the rat race, so to speak. And it was a brutal wake-up call. And I know that it was supposed to happen that way because that's how expanding the consciousness works. We expand, we reach these heights where everything we do is like, oh my gosh, I'm a person. I get to be a person. And we see God in everything, in everyone, in ourselves, everywhere. And it's beautiful, and then we get thrown back into the world and we're like, how could I possibly cope with this? And it's like, this is it. This is why we're here. But anyway, we reach these heights, and then because of the law of polarity, we reach that height. What goes up must come down. We experience this stark contrast right after of keeping an open heart, even when external factors might make us afraid. So when I got pulled back down, I was really stressed out. I was taking 6 courses. I was doing 4 group projects, and that dynamic was just terrifying for me because I felt like I had to bear the brunt of that responsibility on my own. And then I got sick with COVID, and I went home, and it was like surrender finally. And I was able to see clearly this deep sense of clarity that I was not being loving to myself. I was not doing what I said I would do. And then I communicated with my group members, and they listened, and it was that easy. So when we get hyper independent, because we think that we were the one that did the spiritual awakening, we think it's all happening through us, or from us would be a better word. We think we're the one making it happen. And that's not. It's the opposite. We are not the one making it happen. But it's all perfect because we get reminded, oh, I'm a human being. I have to be a human. I get to be a human is really what it's saying. But and then there's this beautiful kind of leveling out where we go up, we go down, and then we go, oh, this is how it is. But yeah, I had all these ideas of what last year would be like after the awakening or remembering process, because I thought I had done it, which is really a trip. Because then that creates this spiritual identity, which isn't bad, but it's still a delusion. We think we're the one becoming empty. We think we're the one reaching altered states of consciousness. And that's not what it is. It's the divine in us. It's not us harnessing the divine. It's the divine that's already there. And it's not bad to be in that delusion because it's necessary. I think for some people, me, it was necessary because it reminded me, oh yeah, I have to depend on other people. Oh no. And other people are also divine. Everyone is a reflection of love. So, but yeah, what I thought I wanted was not what I needed. I needed to be grounded. I needed to be human. I needed to remember the work that I actually am called to do. And I'm sharing this because I think it might help someone who might be, on the same path or a similar path. I've been seeing a lot of videos lately about ego, and mixed opinions are coming up. Some people seem to think that it's a bad thing. Not necessarily. It's just there. So we get to recognize when it's coming up, and also sending it love because it helped us survive. And the desires that we think we have, it's not something we need to pull out of ourselves. Let's get this is bad. No, desire's not bad. It's just a signal. It's just a teacher. So when we have a certain desire that we don't feel right about, or it doesn't feel like if it's pulling us out of our daily life, if it's pulling us out of the present, it's probably not for our highest good. And it's also probably a signal to a need in our daily life that isn't being met. So when we have that desire, it's a reminder to be like, hey, is there anything, any need in here that we can recognize right now? But ultimately, it will expand our capacity for love. If we have labeled anything as bad, sending that thing love can really heal our perception of it. Because it's just the perception of something as bad that makes our experience of it bad. In terms of psychological things, physical things, I think might be different. But in terms of our own kind of, Ram Dass calls it melodrama, like our own kind of like, oh no, I'm not gonna be okay, those kinds of fears, which serve a purpose, right? It's people villainize and demonize ego because it's like the one, like when you're on the spiritual path, it's like you're taught, oh, this is your sense of self, and it separates you from people. If you really want to feel connected to people, you'll get this thing out of you. And it makes people kind of despise this very human impulse and survival mechanism. And when we despise it, it actually gets a lot stronger. And because what we despise in ourselves, we're going to despise in other people. So, and project onto other people. So the quickest way and the easiest way and the kindest way out is to send love to that part of you and recognize it served a purpose. It wasn't meaningless. It wasn't trapping you. It was just there. It was trying to protect you. I think a lot of us have kind of a misunderstanding of what love really is. People seem to think love just lets anything fly. Oh no, if I love someone who's done something bad, that means I'm excusing or justifying that behavior. When really that's not what it is. Love is understanding, but it also holds us accountable. If I love someone and I see them doing something destructive to themselves, I can understand where that self-destructive behavior stems from. But I also, because I love them, will say, this is not good for you. It might have helped you survive in the past, but ultimately, it's not for your highest good. And also love through a boundary. Boundaries actually are loving because they establish sovereignty, autonomy. We can be connected to people and have boundaries. Boundaries are not walls through which we can't extend love. And speaking from personal experience, as someone who used to have very little boundaries, they've only made my relationships stronger and deeper and have facilitated more understanding. But anyway, back to the topic of love. Really going on a tangent here. But we have this idea, and it's conditioned. There's this idea that love just excuses bad behavior. If I love something, if I love someone that's causing harm, I have to justify or excuse or dismiss that harm. But love is like seeing the person underneath the action. And seeing the wounded part of ourselves in that person. So, for instance, someone who is a thief or steals, we can see that as a self-protection mechanism if it's for their survival, or if it's not for their survival, if it's just because they feel like stealing. We can see it as a kind of hollowness in them that's provoking those actions, or a kind of suffering. We don't have to know what it is, because people only do harmful things from a place of suffering. And when we understand that, we can extend real compassion toward them. And that's what love actually is. It's not saying that that person's behavior is okay, but it's saying that that person is okay. That person is good. What can help is thinking about your most unhealed self. And people will say, oh, well, even at my most unhealed, I would never do something like intentionally hurt someone. So how can I understand an abuser? Or how can I offer love to somebody who consciously hurts people? People that consciously cause harm, that do it with ill intent, they are still in a kind of delusion that they're separate from that person that they're hurting. To be that divorced from empathy and compassion is suffering, that is painful. You're numb, you're cut off. Think about how it feels to be that cut off. And when we understand the pain of that disconnection, we can offer that person love. Love that asks them to asks that they see how their actions affect others. So when I'm meditating, when I'm doing loving kindness meditation, which starts by offering unconditional love to yourself. And because we are experiencing life through ourselves, we understand ourselves more than we understand other people, so we can see our patterns and we can see how the harm that we've caused has come from our own hurt. It might be easier for us to offer ourselves compassion and love, but then it goes outward. So we offer to ourselves, and then everyone in our vicinity, our neighborhood, our city, our state, our country, and then everyone in the world. Everyone. Even highly polarized political figures and people who are killing, people who are invading others' land, people who are acting from places of separation. We can see that as an extreme version of the unhealed soul. And those people that are causing the most harm are the people that deserve our compassion and love. Because they're stuck in that sense of separation. And only love can break through that illusion. This kind of got away from me a little bit. But when love becomes the most important thing, it all becomes really clear what we're doing here. And if there's a piece of you that is attached to your desire, that's okay. It's really okay. It just means that you're a human being. You're a human. It's a good thing to be human. But it's also good to remember that ultimately we are here to learn how to love. In a really big way. When I was practicing loving kindness every night back in college, I would walk around campus and see that love in everyone, in their eyes, even if they looked completely different than me, dressed completely different than me, looked like they were annoyed or angry or sad or numb. I still saw it in them. And I had this overwhelming feeling of I could wake up a completely different person tomorrow, with a different family, a different body, a different gender, a different sexual orientation, a different perspective, As long as I had things in my life that I loved, I would not care. And that is something I'm trying to get back to. I think we all have that within us. So it's not about getting everything you want. It's about trusting that you already have everything that you need. You already are everything that you need. In life, it does become so much easier when we let go and trust. I didn't figure this out. It was experienced by something within me that is not my thoughts or feelings. And that's why I know it to be completely true. Nothing is more fulfilling, I think, than that experience. So I hope that this made some sense.